Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video. In today's video, I wanted to go through some of the questions submitted by you all on my community tab. I wanted to do a Q&A video and kind of just do, questions that the community is asking. Also had a couple comments that lately of like really specific questions. So I wanted to do a video where I just kind of answer some of your questions. But in my community tab, I put up a post that said, I want to do a solo podcast where I answer questions from the community. Hit me with any questions you have. It could be deck building, meta, future of the game, whatever you want me to answer. So we got 9 questions from that post. And then I have a couple extra questions here that I wanted to go over. So we can go through these, not to take too long of your time, but just kind of get some answers from the community. This one's from Matthew Peterson. He says, hi, new to the game. Could you cover your thoughts on how Ninja and Wizard and Ice cards will impact heroes not in Uprising? So this one was a really cool question, and it's really hard because, it's so early and it's hard to tell. I do think, obviously, like aggro heroes will be hurt a little bit. Katsu's going to have some trouble. He's really going to have to run a little bit more blues, probably like 17, 18 blues, definitely to combat that. Maybe a little bit better with his defense reactions. Shuko definitely helps him a little bit to be able to block out stuff from like Lexi specifically. Chain's gone now, so that's not as big of a deal. Briar hasn't had as much trouble with ice because she has so many blues anyway, for her channel turn. So it's not gonna, I don't think, hurt her a ton. Icelander's gonna give people problems, definitely. But Icelander's also gonna have kind of a weird situation where, like, if she runs a really heavy control build, she's gonna be really good in aggro, but not good in a prism, and probably not good in Oldheim, at least in my opinion. So like she's gonna have to make a decision. Like Icelander players aren't gonna be able to just run full control, hit you with frostbites, whatever, because they'll lose to Prism and to Oldheim, but they'll beat aggro. So they're gonna have to like figure out this weird type of scenario. Bravo may have a little bit of trouble with Icelander, I think. Maybe we'll have to see. But overall, I think as far as the meta heroes, I don't think it really affects Prism too much. It does affect Oldheim a little bit depending on the matchup, and I could see it affecting Dash pretty bad, Rhinar pretty bad, because like Rhinar doesn't like ice because a lot of his cards say like in addition to this, discard a card. So not only does he have to pitch a card, but he has to discard a card, and you have to pitch more cards to pay for that one card you're playing. It could be really bad, right? So overall, the main heroes, I think it'll ice and like the Wizard will affect. Our Rhinar will hurt a little bit, in my opinion. Prism, it won't affect at all, and then it will kind of hurt like Katsu a little bit, and maybe Briar. I think that's like the main ones right now. Maybe Dash, but we'll see. Second question from Elcor: how should we adapt with Katsu if there's not a lot of Oldheim and Icelander in the new meta? If there is a lot of Oldheim and Icelander, so Oldheim's gonna be hard with Katsu no matter what. It's really gonna suck. There's not much you can do. He's pretty much an auto loss. Like until we get new Katsu tech, the Oldheim has to misplay for you to lose. I mean, you to win. He really does. He has to misplay. I did add, you can go look at my Katsu deck tech. I added in Double Strike and Take the Tempo, which we'll see how those help, but I don't think they'll help too much against Oldheim. Against Icelander, you just run more blues. Run like 17 blues and really try to, just keep pushing the tempo, because I have, at least with Fi, I've found in a couple Icelander games that if you really push the tempo hard and not allow them to arsenal, especially like on a key turn where they have to block you out, then it puts them on the back foot, and then you're in a good spot. So, you have to put by a couple more blues in your deck, like 17, 18 blues, and then try to really utilize zero cost attacks as much as you can. Definitely like stuff like Yellow Surging Strike, I don't think will be a thing. Open the Center definitely won't be a thing. Like any 2-cost card probably won't be a thing for the most part, except for 3 red Surgings. So yeah, that's where I see it. The next question from Dennis is, what are the keystones of deck building? What do you need to think about? How do you do the math, etc.? Great question, and it's so hard. So I'll answer this in 2 ways. I'll answer it from a ninja perspective, and I'll answer it from a normal perspective. From a ninja perspective, I base everything off like what I know with Katsu. So like when I built Fi, right, I tried to use around the same amount of blues. For me, in any ninja build, I think 15 to 17 blues is probably the sweet spot. So I just start there. First, I start with my blues, with ninja specifically, and that's based off what weapon I'm running. And then I kind of look at like what are my power cards, right? So like with Katsu, I look at the surging line and leg tap lines. Like, do I really care about those? Do I want to go wide? You kind of got to look at the meta, right? Like in the chain meta, I put stuff like head jabs and 100 wins and all these like go again natural cards because I wanted to try to race down chain and I needed more a go wide aspect. Now that chain's gone, I might go back more to a like on hit aspect with a lot of breakpoint attacks. So you have to really see what your meta is, and then okay, based off what the meta is, you know, what cards play well into that meta in my kit, and then start to build your deck around that, right? And then you just test. You know, I think the one trap that not everyone, a lot of young players fall into in the game is like they try to build their deck against what they're bad against. And sometimes that's a trap, right? Like if you try to build a Katsu deck to beat Oldheim, you're just going to suck against everything else, right? So build a deck to what is good into the meta. So like in the upcoming meta, like with Fi, I'm going to be building a deck that I think is good into Prism. I think is good into Briar, and I think is good into, you know, maybe a couple of the mid-range decks, and then hopefully I go 50-50 against like Icelander and Ice Lexi and stuff and try to do that. So that's where I go. But really it's, you know, think of a game plan, think of what you enjoy playing, and then try to build around those cards and what makes those cards best, right? Like I've seen some Katsu players do like a full surging line where like they run 3 red surgings, 3 yellow surgings, and then all non-whelming gust waves, and they run like breeze rubber boots, stuff like that. So like it just depends. Like there's different builds for different people. It just depends on what you want to do. The next one from Tanner is, in a Fi deck, how do you compensate for Prism and Dromai's Phantasm aggro builds? Are there any 6 attack cards worth sideboarding for those matchups, or you just ignore and try to out aggro them? The short answer is I just ignore and try to out aggro them. Erase Face is amazing in the Prism, and I really wouldn't want to even pop anything with that card. I want to play that card because it turns off Light Illusionist. Like if Prism gets hit by Erase Face, she can't get go again on anything. It's over. Like her turn's done. She just Arsenal passes. It's not as impactful against Dromai, but I would recommend running like 2 Erase Faces in the Dromai. Maybe you can pop a really key attack, something along those lines. So overall, not too much. Erase Face is really all I'm putting into those. And that's about it, to be honest. Next one from Boss is, what are the reasons you enjoy or choose to play Fab? What is the best way to bring new players to the community? What are the reasons you enjoy and choose to play Fab? So like a little bit of background, like I started in Magic like most people. I didn't play it a whole lot. I didn't enjoy Magic even from the start. It just was like kind of a boring card game to me. I didn't like the old school mana system and like waiting to get mana and waiting to play cards. Like it was just dumb to me. I hated it. And so I'm not a big Magic fan. I'll play sealed Magic, but that's about it. So yeah, and then now I play Flesh and Blood. I play Digimon. I play Dragon Ball a little bit now. And then I play My Hero Academia card game. So kind of give a background. The main is Flesh and Blood though. So go to your question of what are the reasons you enjoy Fab. I enjoy it because it's interactive. Like you're constantly like interacting with your opponent. There's not much like setup unless you're playing like Viserai. I do enjoy the interaction, and I enjoy the fact that like there's no really, you can get mana screwed technically or like resource screwed if you draw 4 red hands, but even then like you could still do something. I like that every card can be used for pitch and for like what originally got me in the Fab is I like that every card can be used for resources and be used to play and be used to attack and be used to defend with. Like there's no such thing as a dead card truly. And that's what I enjoyed about Fab initially. What is the best way to bring new players in the community? Your local LGS, your local game store is probably the best way to do it, right? Your local game store. Your local game store is the best way to do it. I would host like a learn to play and market it out on like your Facebook, your Discord, like a poster, and then, you know, get your LGS owner to maybe like shell out a couple blitz decks to have on the counter so like people can test and play with them. And then the good thing about Fab, in my opinion, in comparison to other games, is like the blitz decks are really nice. Like the only other card game, in my opinion, that does starter decks as well is Digimon. That's the best way to get them into the community is like get them a good blitz deck, $15, let them play, and really start to grow that way. Because I think that is the biggest thing. Is the barrier to entry into this game is, from a casual perspective, is really low. From a competitive perspective, it's pretty medium because like some of those legendaries are pretty expensive. But from a casual, like local armory level, it's really low, right? Barrier to entry. So I think that's the best way. Next one's from Joe is, are you making any changes to Katsu and the new cards from Uprising? So you can go look at my Katsu deck tech. I basically put in Double Strike in place of Head Jab. I put in Take the Tempo, and I took out like Yellow even bigger than that because I don't think you're going to have to race as much. Yeah, Double Strike and Take the Tempo were my main changes. The next one from Lawson is, which would you rather fight? 1 Benji-sized duck or 10 duck-sized Benjis? 1 Benji-sized duck. Ducks, you don't mess with ducks. Ducks, you don't F with, right? Same thing with geese. I would not want to fight 10 of them. I'll just fight 1 Benji-sized duck and just try to beat it up. That would be my answer. The next one from Mike Jones. Why aren't there any budget players at the LGS around me? Everybody has legendaries for their heroes. Is it even worth playing if I don't have them as a new player? So your first question is, why aren't there any budget players at LGS around me? Probably because they just haven't built out the format. In my opinion, that's on your LGS. Your LGS should host commoner nights. They should host blitz nights. They should host like new player nights. Work with some of your key players in your community and be like, hey, can we do a night where like there's no legendaries on the board, right? Let's do like a commoner equipment only night. And it's not a sanctioned armory, but it's a fun event. And that's how you get people into the game. Everybody seems as a legendary around you is even worth playing if I don't have them as a new player. Yes, 100%. I played Katsu for 6 months without Mask Momentum. I played with Hope Merchant's Hood. Yes, was the deck not as good? Sure. But I had tons of fun and I enjoyed it. There are certain decks, yes, that you really need legendaries in order for them to function properly. In my opinion, you kind of need, like Briar, in my opinion, doesn't need legendaries to function at her function at a good level. Let me think of other heroes. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Dory, like, yes, having Courage of Blade Hole if you're running Dawnblade or Sabers, or having, Valiant Dynamo is really nice, but like you don't need those. Like, she's still a pretty strong deck normally. Shane Commoner can beat a good Blitz deck, to be honest. So like there's definitely ways around it. There's certain heroes that are better without legendaries than others. A lot of the Rune Blades kind of need it, except for Briar. Excuse me. But yeah, so I would talk to your LGS, try to host a commoner night, try to host like a new player night, stuff like that. Really get people into both sides. Because even really competitive players love playing like casual stuff every now and then. So that would be my suggestion to you. Next one, and I had one more here that I need to find really fast. Your thoughts on Combustion Point? When you banish one of the Finning cards, one that allow it to be buffed card on hit. Combustion Point's good. It's definitely good, and I've tested it a little bit. It's just like, it's not that it's bad. It's just it's a one cost. Basically, it's a one cost attack that you basically want to play on like chain 4, so you can banish a three defense card. And when I'm paying one card on chain 4, I want that to be like a Tome of Firebrand. I want it to be like a Breaking Point or something. I don't want it to be that card, right? That card would be good for finishing games, but I just don't think it might be as good as you think it would be. It's definitely good in a nutshell, and in sealed it's amazing, and in limited it's amazing, but in CC there still remains to be seen if it's good overall. So but yeah, I think that's all the questions I had. One was, what do you think Spy's hardest matchups will be? I think his overall hardest matchup will be like a tie between Ice Lexi and Oldheim. I don't think Icelander is quite as bad as other people think she is. Definitely not favored against a tuned Icelander deck, but I think it's like 45-55 in my opinion. And if you can get tempo on it, then you're really good. You're in a really good spot. So that's the basis of the questions. Hopefully these were good and made sense. I'd like to do this more and have fun with it. So definitely keep hitting me with questions. And we'll try to maybe do these once every 2 or 3 weeks. But yeah, hopefully y'all enjoyed this. If you did, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. If not me, go to our Fleshbread Career, leave a like, comment, subscribe on their stuff so we can get more people seeing this game. And I'll see y'all next time on TCG Talk. Thank y'all so much.